Some families break slowly, ours snapped in one night. I never imagined a single sentence could shatter the fragile balance of our home, but that's exactly what happened last winter. Before everything fell apart, before the screaming, the fractures, the threats, I believed we were functioning, even if barely. I believed I could blend into a life that existed long before I came along. I believed she might eventually accept me. I was wrong. When I married Aaron, his daughter Lena was 14. Quiet, polite, observant, too observant. She'd watch me with these sharp, measuring eyes as if she was cataloging every breath I took in her father's presence. But she never spoke out against me, not openly, not then. I mistook silence for peace, a rookie mistake. Aaron adored her. I never resented that. In fact, in the early days, I admired it. He carried guilt from the divorce like a second spine, bending himself in half to make sure Lena never felt like she came second to anyone, especially not to me. Fine, I could accept that, but guilt is a seed. Water it long enough and it grows into something twisted. The first shift came subtle, little comments, a closed door, a cold stare I couldn't explain. But the night that truly began our unraveling came 2 years later, after the twins were born, after the exhaustion, after the sleep deprivation and the financial strain had frayed us all down to exposed nerves. It was a Thursday, rain hammered the windows, drowning out the normal sounds of the house. I was in the living room folding the boys' laundry, tiny shirts, socks that never stayed in pairs when I heard Lena come home from school. The door slammed hard enough to shake dust from the frame. Rough day, I'd called out, no answer, just footsteps, slow and deliberate, the kind someone takes when they're rehearsing anger. She stopped in the doorway, her clothes damp hair plastered to her face. Her eyes, God, her eyes looked like something had cracked behind them. Dad's not home, she asked. Not yet, he's working late, she nodded once. Single, decisive movement, then good. I opened my mouth to ask what she meant, but she cut me off with a whisper that didn't sound like her at all. You ruined everything. The room felt colder instantly. She stepped closer, dripping rainwater onto the carpet. You took him from me, and then you had them. Her gaze flicked toward the laundry baskets, your replacements. Her voice wasn't angry, it was calm, too calm. Lena, I said carefully, I know things have changed, but you don't know anything. Her lip curled. You act like you're the hero here, but you're not. You're just the woman who made sure I don't have a place in my own home anymore. Something in my chest tightened. That's not true, you're still. Then she leaned forward and whispered the sentence that would burn itself into my memory forever. I wish they'd never been born. My heart dropped. And I wish, she added, you hadn't either. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed, her expression shifted, and what she did next changed everything. Some messages should never be opened. Some truths should never be read. Lena's phone buzzed again, slicing through the tension like a razor. She didn't look away from me at first. She held eye contact for 3 long seconds, unnervingly calm, before she finally lifted the phone. Her expression shifted instantly. Fear, or was it guilt? She turned her back to me, shielding the screen with her hand. I couldn't hear the words she whispered, but I heard the tone, urgent, breathless, trembling. She paced in a tight circle, running a hand through her damp hair, her breathing growing sharper with each passing second. And she said something that froze my blood. No, I didn't tell her yet. I will, I just need a minute. Tell me what? My mind raced, but I stayed still, watching as Lena's shoulders curled inward, shrinking under whatever weight she was carrying. Finally, she hung up and shoved the phone deep into her pocket. She didn't look at me right away. When she did, her anger was gone, replaced with something far worse, desperation. What did you hear? She demanded. Nothing, I said softly. But Lena, what's going on? Who is that? She shook her head violently. You don't need to know, you wouldn't understand. Try me. Her jaw clenched. For a brief moment, I thought she might actually talk to me, confide in me like she used to years ago when things were simpler, softer, unbroken. But that moment passed quickly. She grabbed her backpack and bolted up the stairs, leaving wet footprints trailing behind her like a warning I didn't yet understand. I stood there staring at the small puddle of rainwater she'd left on the floor, feeling the air hum with a kind of electricity I couldn't name. Something was wrong with her, something bigger than anger or jealousy, something she couldn't or wouldn't say. But I wasn't naive, not anymore, and something in me whispered that whatever she was hiding involved all of us. When Aaron came home an hour later, I tried to explain what happened, but I didn't get far. He didn't look worried. He didn't ask questions, he didn't even pause. He just sighed, rubbed his temples, and said the sentence that made my stomach twist. She's a teenager, she says things she doesn't mean. She meant them, I insisted. He shook his head. You're overthinking again, as if the venom in her words had been imaginary, as if the way she'd stared at the twins' tiny folded shirts had been just harmless irritation, as if the call hadn't happened at all. I wanted to shout, to shake him, to make him see the danger simmering under his daughter's skin, but I swallowed it because I knew how the conversation would end, with him defending her and me being painted as the villain in my own house. Later that night, after the twins were asleep and the storm finally broke, I passed by Lena's room. Something glowed under her door, a screen, a message thread, her voice whispering sharply into the phone again. I leaned closer. And then I heard it, a single sentence that made my heart slam against my ribs. They won't even see it coming. The floor creaked beneath my foot, silence. Then Lena's shadow moved toward the door, fast. When a child speaks in secrets, it's the silence that terrifies you. The moment Lena's shadow slid toward her bedroom door, my instincts screamed at me to move. I stepped back just as the knob twitched softly, like someone testing whether the hallway was empty. I held my breath. The door cracked open an inch, then another. Her eye appeared first, sharp, unblinking, searching. I forced my body to stay still, pretending I was simply passing by. My heart thundered so violently I thought she might hear it. After a tense few seconds, Lena stepped out, phone clutched to her chest, expression guarded. Are you here? She asked, voice flat. I was checking the thermostat, I lied quickly. It feels cold upstairs. She didn't blink. It's fine. Her tone was careful, too careful. Is everything okay? I asked, though I already knew the answer was no. Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. I'm going to bed. But the way she stood, rigid, defensive, her fingers gripping the phone like a weapon, told a different story. Before I could respond, she turned sharply and shut her door, locked it. The click echoed through the hallway like a warning shot. I tried to sleep that night, but the house felt wrong. Too quiet, too heavy. Every creak sounded like a threat. Every shadow felt like it was watching. Aaron snored softly beside me, completely unaware of the storm brewing under our roof. I stared at the ceiling, replaying Lena's words over and over. They won't even see it coming. Who was they? What was coming, and who the hell was she talking to? By 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and slipped quietly out of bed. I checked on the twins' safe, tangled in blankets, soft breaths rising and falling. I brushed a hand across Ember's hair. Protect them, protect them. The words repeated like a heartbeat. When I stepped into the hallway, I froze. Lena's door now open, not wide, just cracked. As if someone had left in a hurry or someone wanted an easy way back inside. I forced myself closer, peering into her room. Her backpack was unzipped, clothes scattered, drawers half open. Papers littered the floor, crumpled worksheets, scribbled notes, a few torn edges of something she'd ripped apart. A cold draft brushed my arm. The window, unlocked, slightly open. A knot tightened in my stomach. Where had she gone? I scanned the room again, spotting something bent under her desk, a spiral notebook, pages sticking out like jagged teeth. I knelt and picked it up, hesitating only for a second. Inside, her handwriting looped violently across the pages, dark ink pressed so hard it tore through the paper. But one page chilled me to my core, a crude sketch, 3 figures, 2 small, 1 tall. All crossed out in thick, angry strokes, and beneath it in letters carved so deeply the paper nearly split. They took everything. A noise echoed down the hallway, footsteps, not slow, not careful, coming straight toward me. I snapped the notebook shut just as Lena stepped back into the doorway, soaked, breathless, and staring at me like she'd caught a stranger rifling through her life. What are you doing in my room? She whispered, not angry, not scared. Something worse, accusing, calculating, cold. I opened my mouth to answer, but then I noticed something dripping from her sleeve, dark, wet, not rain, and she smiled. Some smiles aren't warm, some smiles mean run. For a second, I couldn't breathe. The hallway light flickered above us, casting Lena's shadow long and crooked across the floor. She stepped fully into the room, closing the door behind her with a soft click that felt louder than a slammed door. Her gaze slid down to the notebook in my hands. You shouldn't touch my things, she said. Her tone wasn't angry. It was measured, too steady for a girl dripping rainwater, too calm for someone caught sneaking back into the house at 3 a.m. My eyes flicked to her sleeve again. Dark liquid trailed from her cuff down her wrist, thick, slow. Not rain, Lena, I whispered. You're hurt. She looked down almost curiously, then shrugged. It's nothing, nothing. Her sleeve was soaked in it. What happened? I pressed, stepping toward her. She stepped back. Her smile didn't move her eyes. You don't get to ask me that. Lena, please, you don't get to pretend you care. Her voice sharpened like glass breaking. We stood there in silence, the air charged and taut. The twins slept 2 rooms away. She started screaming if Aaron woke up. No, I couldn't let it escalate. I softened my tone. I'm not trying to fight. I just want to help. Help, she echoed, laughing once, a hollow sound. You think I need your help? I forced myself to stay steady. Yes, I do. Her fingers tightened around her phone, knuckles whitening. You don't understand anything. You think I'm angry because of them? She jerked her head toward the twins' room. This has nothing to do with them. But her eyes said otherwise. Then what is it about? I asked gently. Her expression flickered, fear, rage, grief, something tangled and raw. For a split second, I saw the girl she used to be. The one who braided my hair on the couch, who laughed in the kitchen at midnight, who once called me family. But then something hardened in her again. You shouldn't have done it, she whispered. My heart stumbled. Done what? She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the metallic scent on her sleeve. You told him, she said. Didn't you? Told who what? Lena's jaw clenched. Don't lie to me. You told my father things. You made him think I'm unstable. I blinked. Aaron doesn't think that. She tilted her head. He will. A chill rushed through me. Lena, where were you tonight? Her smile widened, slow and deliberate. Why, are you scared I did something wrong? A creak echoed in the hallway. Footsteps. Aaron, his voice floated closer. Honey. You okay? Lena's expression snapped into something innocent, fragile, trembling, perfectly rehearsed. She looked at me with a warning in her eyes, a dare, then she screamed. A sound so sharp, so shattering, it made the twins stir in their beds. Aaron, she cried, SH's in MY room. She's SH's going through MY things. I froze. Her smile vanished. Her eyes filled instantly with tears. Fake tears. Aaron, please. His footsteps broke into a run. I stepped back, heart pounding. Lena turned to me one last time before he reached the doorway and whispered, You won't win. The knob twisted. The door swung open and everything exploded at once. In every lie, someone becomes the villain. She chose me. The moment Aaron burst through the doorway, Lena collapsed onto the floor, arms wrapped around herself, shaking with perfectly timed sobs. Her hair fell in damp strings across her face, her sleeves still stained with that dark, unsettling smear. Aaron, I started. She was in my room, Lena cried, voice breaking. She was going through my things and then she grabbed me when I told her to stop. My blood froze. Aaron whipped toward me so fast it startled me. Is that true? No, I said instantly. Absolutely not. Lena flinched away from me dramatically, like my voice alone was a threat. Please don't let her near me, please, Dad. My mouth dropped open. Lena, what are you talking about? I didn't touch you, but she wasn't listening. She wasn't meant to. This performance wasn't for me, it was for him. Aaron crouched beside her, hands trembling as he checked her sleeve. His face shifted when he saw the dark stain, but instead of asking what happened, he looked up at me. Why is she bleeding? He asked sharply. Bleeding? God, he thought tears burned my eyes. Aaron, I didn't touch her. She came home like this. She's lying, Lena choked out. I came home and she was already in my room, digging through my stuff, and when I told her to leave, she grabbed my arm hard. That's not true, my voice cracked with shock. Only went in because what? Aaron snapped. Because you thought she was plotting something, because you're convinced she hates the twins? I stared at him, stunned. You heard what she said downstairs earlier. A teenager said something when she was upset, he shouted. And you're using that to justify invading her privacy? My heart hammered. Aaron, she wasn't just upset, she said things, dark things, and she made a phone call. Oh my God, Lena whispered, curling smaller. She's obsessed with me, her voice wavered, cracking in all the right places. Dad, she's been watching me, listening at my door, going through my things. I don't feel safe. Safe. She didn't feel safe. Aaron stood, chest heaving. I'd never seen him like this, torn between fury and fear, unable to tell which direction either emotion should land. His voice came out low, trembling. Why were you in her room? My throat tightened. I heard something, I said carefully. She said they won't even see it coming. Aaron blinked in confusion. What? Lena let out a short, horrified sob. Oh my God, she's twisting everything I say. I was talking about a group project at school, a group project. She was fast. Aaron, I pleaded. She came home bleeding, sneaking in through the window, talking to someone. I went out because one of my friends ran away from home tonight. Lena snapped. I was helping her. Didn't want to wake anyone, and I cut my arm on a fence. I didn't tell you because I knew she'd blame me for something. The room tilted. She had an answer for everything. Every lie polished, rehearsed, airtight. Aaron exhaled shakily. We're done with this tonight. Go to bed, both of you. But I started. No. His voice cracked like a whip. No more. Lena stood slowly, leaning into him just enough to seal the narrative. He wrapped an arm around her, and in that moment I knew she wasn't just angry. She wasn't even just manipulative. She was winning, but I didn't yet know how far she planned to go to finish the job. A lie repeated enough times becomes a weapon, and she was sharpening hers. The next morning, the house felt wrong, like someone had rearranged the air while we slept. The twins were restless, clingy, sensing the tension the way children always do. Aaron barely spoke to me. When he did, his words were clipped, cautious, restrained, distance. That was new, and it terrified me more than Lena's lies. Lena came downstairs last, fresh clothes, hair brushed, a bandage wrapped carefully around her arm, too carefully for someone who had supposedly sliced herself on a fence. The wound peeked out slightly beneath the edge of the wrap, but it didn't look like a cut. It looked like a scrape, a burn, a bruise, something self-inflicted or something caused by someone else, but definitely not a jagged fence. My stomach tightened. Good morning, she said sweetly, pouring cereal into a bowl. Her voice floated like sugar, artificial, empty. Aaron didn't look at her, just gathered paperwork and said he needed to go into the office early. He kissed the twins. He didn't kiss me. The door closed behind him with a finality that made my throat ache. When I turned, Lena was watching me, calm, poised, spoon slowly circling through her cereal. You're losing him, she said softly. I gripped the counter. Why are you doing this? She took a bite before answering. Because you made me, I frowned. What does that mean? She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. You took my dad, then you took my house. And now you're trying to take my life away from me. I haven't taken anything from you. You took everything, she corrected. I was enough for him before you came. And then you show up with your perfect smile, your perfect babies, your perfect little world. Suddenly I'm supposed to disappear because you've replaced me. I never replaced you, I whispered. She tilted her head with a pitying grin. He thinks you did? I felt my heart drop. Aaron doesn't he? She interrupted. He defended me last night, not you. For the first time, he saw what you've been doing. Doing what narrative had she built in her mind? What are you trying to get out of this, Lena? Her smile hardened. Balance, balance. You tipped the scales, I'm tipping them back. The conversation was interrupted by a loud thud from the hallway. The twins flinched. I hurried out to check and froze. A framed family photo lay shattered on the floor. Not a recent photo, an old one. Aaron and Lena, just them before me, before the twins. The glass had splintered across their faces. I knelt, heart pounding. What happened? Who? Lena stood behind me, holding her cereal bowl, eyes blank. I accidentally bumped the table, she said, but the frame hadn't fallen from a table. It had been torn from the wall. I opened my mouth, but she added softly, things break sometimes, families too. A chill crawled up my spine. Then she whispered, so close behind me I felt her breath on my neck, and this is only the beginning. My blood iced. What does that mean? But she didn't answer. She just walked away, humming quietly, leaving me kneeling beside a broken picture of the life she wanted back, a life she was willing to destroy everything to reclaim. One enemy is frightening, two is fatal. The morning passed in uneasy fragments. I cleaned the broken glass, checked on the twins, tried to steady my breathing, but the whole time something gnawed at me. Lena hadn't just snapped. She was acting with purpose, calculation, control. Her lies were too coordinated, her timing too perfect, her confidence too steady. Someone was guiding her, or pushing her, or using her. By noon, Lena had disappeared upstairs again. I heard muffled talking through her door, hushed, fast, tense. Not the way a girl spoke to a friend, not casual gossip. This was strategy. I crept closer, stopping just beyond the doorframe. She believes it, Lena whispered. I told you it's working. He's already pulling away from her. Pause, a low voice responding, too faint to make out. Then Lena again, no, not yet. She hasn't broken, but she will. Ice flooded my veins. Another pause, a second voice. Male, female, older. I pressed closer, heart thudding. Lena's voice rose, barely above a whisper. I know what you said, but she deserves it. She came into this family like she owned everything. She thinks Dad will always choose her. A short laugh. But he won't. My stomach twisted into a knot. Who was she talking to? The twins cried downstairs, a sudden wail. I flinched. The sound broke my focus and the floor creaked under my foot. Silence. The whispering stopped instantly. I stepped back quickly just as the door swung open. Lena stood there, phone in hand, eyes blazing with suspicion. Were you listening? I forced my expression neutral. The twins were crying. I was going downstairs. Her eyes scanned my face, hunting for guilt. Then she smiled that same unsettling smile. Of course, always running after them. It must be exhausting. I didn't answer. She leaned her shoulder against the doorframe. You know, Dad said he might take me out tonight, just us. Her tone was nearly mocking. A little father-daughter time, something we haven't done in years. A fist clenched around my heart. He didn't mention that. Maybe he didn't want another argument, she said softly. Her words were gentle. Her meaning was venom. I found my voice. Lena, please stop whatever this is. We can fix things if you just tell me the truth. Her eyes flickered briefly, sharply. You want the truth? Yes. You ruined my family, she whispered, and now I'm ruining yours. She pushed the door shut in my face. When Aaron came home that evening, he barely looked at me. He seemed distant, preoccupied. He kissed the twins. He avoided my eyes. You and Lena going out tonight? I asked, trying to make my voice steady. He hesitated. She asked if we could talk. She's going through a lot. I know she is, I said, but you can't ignore what she's doing. Doing, he repeated quietly. She told me you went through her room. My throat tightened. Because she came home covered in, I don't want to rehash this. He grabbed his keys. Lena appeared on the stairs with flawless timing, hair brushed, makeup subtle, bandaged arm perfectly visible beneath her sleeve. Dad, Aaron nodded. They walked out without another word. The door shut, silence fell, and then my phone lit up. Unknown number, a single message, you can't protect them. A chill ripped down my spine. Someone else was in this. Someone who knew our number, someone who was watching. Threats become real the moment they choose your silence. The message on my phone pulsed like a heartbeat, cold, taunting, deliberate. You can't protect them. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. The twins slept down the hall. Aaron and Lena were gone. The house felt too large, too empty, too vulnerable. I typed back before I could stop myself. Who is this? 3 dots appeared immediately. Typing, stopping, typing again, then ask her, Lena. I swallowed hard, forcing air into my lungs. I needed proof, something undeniable, something Aaron couldn't twist into another misunderstanding. I dialed the number. 1 ring, 2, then a distorted voice, mechanically altered, answered. You shouldn't have looked in her room. My chest tightened. What do you want from us? A soft chuckle, warped by the voice filter. Not from you, from him. Aaron, of course. What are you doing to Lena? I whispered. The voice paused, almost amused. Oh, sweetheart, it crooned. Lena came to us. As plural, my stomach dropped. What does that mean? You'll find out eventually. The call ended. I stood there staring at my reflection in the darkened TV screen like a woman who had wandered into someone else's nightmare. My pulse raced beneath my skin. Someone had been coaching Lena, feeding her lines, feeding her fears, feeding her hatred, and worst of all, Lena wanted it. I spent the next hour pacing, checking windows, rechecking locks. Every sound made me flinch. By the time Aaron and Lena returned, headlights sweeping across the living room wall, my nerves were raw. The door opened. Lena walked in first, smiling triumphant. Aaron followed, face blank and drained. How was your night? I asked, forcing calm. Lena answered before he could. Amazing. Dad and I talked about everything. The word stung, loaded and sharp. Aaron rubbed the back of his neck. We're working through things. Lena drifted into the kitchen, humming softly, leaving us in the hallway. What did she tell you? I asked quietly. A lot, he said. Things I didn't know. The implication hit me hard. She said you've been watching her, invading her privacy, that you've been paranoid. He winced at the word paranoid, a convenient label for the truth. Aaron, she's lying, I whispered. Someone is manipulating her. I got a message tonight from someone else, someone involved. He frowned. A message from who? I don't know, but it said I can't protect them. And then, a threat, he cut in, disbelief coloring his voice. Yes, he sighed heavily. Honey, you're stressed. You've been dealing with the twins alone all day. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe. I pulled out my phone, unlocking it to show him. The message was gone. My stomach lurched. No, it was here. Maybe you deleted it by accident, Aaron said gently, like someone talking to a nervous animal. I didn't, I snapped. Aaron, listen to me. She's not acting alone. Someone is telling her what to say and do. Before he could answer, Lena reappeared in the doorway, leaning casually against the frame. Everything okay? She asked softly. Aaron glanced at her, then at me. We're fine, he said. But the look he gave me wasn't reassurance. It was worry, doubt, fear, but not of Lena, of me. Lena smiled faintly, eyes glinting. And in that moment I realized whoever was helping her didn't need to break into our home. They'd already broken into our marriage. Fear is one thing, but proof changes everything. Sleep didn't come that night. Every time I closed my eyes, that distorted voice echoed in my skull, you can't protect them. Aaron lay beside me, breathing steadily, unaware that the enemy wasn't outside our home, it was inside it, whispering in his daughter's ear, turning him against me inch by inch. At 2:47 a.m., I finally gave up. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake him, and checked on the twins. They slept soundly, tiny bodies rising and falling rhythmically beneath their blankets, but something was wrong. Their window, always locked, tonight it wasn't. Sat slightly open, the latch unfastened, letting in a thin slice of cold night air that brushed against my skin. My breath caught. I hadn't opened it. Aaron hadn't opened it, and the twins couldn't reach it. I scanned the nursery, heart hammering. Nothing looked obviously disturbed, but I felt it. The wrongness, the presence, like someone had been here, watching them, watching us. I forced myself to close the window and lock it quietly. And I checked the baby monitor, red light on, working. But a faint static hissed through it that hadn't been there before. I lifted it to my ear. Under the static, a whisper. My blood iced. SHHHHH, not from the twins' room. Not from our room, from somewhere else, somewhere in the house. I swallowed hard and lowered the monitor. Maybe it was interference. Maybe my nerves were making me hear things. Or maybe no, I didn't want to finish that thought. My morning exhaustion clung to me like damp cloth. Aaron left early again, another urgent project. He barely made eye contact. He didn't kiss me goodbye. Lena watched him go from the foot of the stairs, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Once he drove off, she turned to me with a slow, satisfied smile. You look tired, she said. Rough night. I ignored her and went to make the twins breakfast. She followed. Of course she followed. You know, she said casually, Dad told me he's thinking about counseling. For us, not you. I stiffened. Couples counseling, family counseling, she corrected. Family meaning him and me. I gripped the counter. You're trying to push me out. I don't have to, she said softly. You're doing that to yourself. The words stung because they echoed my growing fear, but I refused to take the bait. Lena, someone came into the twins' room last night. Her expression flickered just for a second, a tiny crack, a flinch, then she laughed. You really are losing it, aren't you? I'm not joking. Windows open sometimes, she shrugged. Maybe you forgot to lock it. I turned to face her. No, someone was in here. Her smile stretched wider. Who exactly? I didn't answer. She leaned closer. Go on, say it. Tell Aaron his daughter is sneaking into the nursery at night to terrorize her stepmother. See how that plays out for you. My heart thudded painfully. Who are you talking to on the phone? I asked quietly. Lena's eyes sharpened like knives. You'll find out soon enough. She started up the stairs, then paused halfway and looked back. Oh, she added lightly, you should probably check the mailbox. A cold ripple slid down my spine. What did you do? She just winked. Didn't want to look, but dread dragged me to the front door. When I opened the mailbox, something slid forward. A photograph. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. The twins, sleeping in their cribs, taken from inside their room. Taken at night, taken recently. And on the back in jagged handwriting, you can't protect what you can't see. My vision blurred, my knees nearly buckled. This wasn't paranoia, this wasn't stress, this was real. Someone had been inside the room with my babies. Someone Lena trusted. Someone who wasn't afraid to leave a message. The twins' sleeping faces stared back at me peaceful, unaware that someone had stood inches from their cribs, close enough to touch them. Close enough to take them, my stomach twisted. Whoever took this picture wanted me to panic, wanted me unstable, wanted me to feel powerless, but rage burned hotter than fear. I stormed back inside and locked every door, every window. My breaths came sharp and fast, but my mind cleared with a cold precision I hadn't felt in weeks. If someone sent a message, there had to be a trail. I grabbed the envelope the photo came in. It was plain, unmarked, but the corner had a smudge of something dark. Grease ink, I didn't know, but inside the envelope tucked behind the photo was something else, something small, something metallic. A SIM card. My heartbeat stuttered. The unknown caller, the deleted message. This was part of it. Someone wanted me to find this, or someone had dropped it by mistake. Either way, it was a crack. I slid the SIM card into a snack-sized plastic bag, sealing it like evidence. I couldn't trust Aaron, not yet. Not when Lena had poisoned his perception of me, not when he already believed I was overreacting. But I knew someone who would take me seriously. My sister Mia, a paralegal, sharp, unshakable, protective to the bone. I snapped a photo of the SIM card and the threatening picture and sent them to her with a simple message. I need help now, she replied instantly. Call me, alone. Before I could, the door creaked behind me. Lena. Standing at the bottom of the stairs, arms crossed, watching me like a snake watches a mouse decide which way to run. Find something interesting? She asked. I froze. The SIM card was in my fist, hidden, the envelope on the counter. Just mail, I said calmly. She walked closer, slow, deliberate, eyes narrowing. You shouldn't look so scared, she said softly. It makes people wonder what you're hiding. I nearly laughed at the hypocrisy. What did you put in the mailbox, Lena? I didn't put anything, she said, shrugging. But I knew you'd react. You always react. This isn't a game, she smirked. It is to me. Then she leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper meant to crawl under my skin. You're slipping, Dad sees it, everyone sees it. I swallowed hard. Lena, whoever took that picture, don't, she hissed, smile vanishing. Don't drag other people into your paranoia. Other people, plural. But she realized her mistake too quickly. Her face tightened, her jaw clenched. She turned to leave. Lena, I said, who is helping you? She froze, just for a second, but that second was enough. If you don't stop, she whispered without turning around, you're going to lose everything. She disappeared up the stairs. I exhaled shakily and grabbed my phone to call Mia. Before I could dial, the phone buzzed in my hand. A new message. From the unknown number, a single sentence. She's not the only one watching. I looked toward the staircase, at the shadows, at the door, and that's when I heard it, a soft click, the sound of a camera shutter inside the house.